Hello and welcome to another London News Exposed tips and tricks tutorial. If you already ordered or purchased any gravity filter, water filter systems like Berkey, Berkfield, Euroguard or Phoenix or Dalton that have these types of water filters, you may have been struggling with trying to prime them, and I'm usually good at doing things, but I failed miserably. The Phoenix filter instruction said to do this by attaching this screw and placing it on the tap, but it didn't fit snugly enough on my tap, so the water was pouring everywhere, which was impossible to see if it was actually priming the filters properly. And the other system had this filter button, which I'll show you, and to be used like that. So that didn't come with my device, so I ended up buying this device from Amazon, which was an extra cost. However, it did come with two food dyes, which can be used to test if the water is being filtered properly, which when I used it to test my filters after priming them, they worked perfectly. However, if you do not want to pay any additional costs for these filters, you could either use a rubber glove, a very thin rubber glove, or two, a balloon, which I will show you how I used them and how they worked for me. Right, so firstly, we get the rubber glove and we place this. We can use any finger. So we place the rubber glove over here like so. So we'll put it up as tight as we can. Then with an elastic band, just fold it over a couple of times. Depending on how large your elastic band is, will depend on how many times you fold it over. Poke it through this section here and over the top. Now that is extremely tight, so no water is going to be passing through there. Then just snip off the end like this and unscrew this bit here and thread that all the way down. Then using cotton, which I have here, just break off about, I don't know, 20 inches of cotton. And just wrap it around. Fits nice and snugly in between each thread. But if you're using string or anything thicker, I would recommend doing it a lot tighter. Then slowly turn on the water. You'll notice it expanding, and as you can see quite clearly, it's sweating and priming nicely, and there's no water pouring from the top. So we're going to leave that for 3 minutes. So it's quite normal for this to expand, but don't let it keep getting too big. Just needs enough pressure for it to force its way through. So using a balloon, just any size balloon will do, preferably a normal one like this. So this is going to be going over the spout end. So what we want to do is we want to cut as tiny a piece as possible off the top of this balloon. So the smaller the better. So we're just going to snip just about that much. So we're pretty much doing the same thing. We're going to stretch this over the tap like so, with the elastic band. So we just double it over as many times as you need until it stretches just enough to go over the faucet so it's nice and tight. Maybe that's a bit too tight. Let's try again. Now that is tight. Then place this over here, and with the cotton we will do the same thing again and do the same again. Well, we've got a little leak in the balloon, but it's priming perfectly, as you can see, and it's quite normal for the balloon to expand to apply pressure, but make sure the balloon doesn't get too big. There is a slight leak on the side, should have double checked that, but there's enough pressure going on, and as you can see it's sweating and beading as recommended by the manufacturers. So that is working a treat. Right, let's attach this blue priming filter device. So this fits quite snugly and tight. And as you can see guys, it is really hard to actually fit over this bend. It's just, some taps are really not designed properly, so I'm going to have to hold that in place while I run the water. As you can see, it keeps flipping out, and it's quite hard. There's not enough area to wrap anything around it, so I'm just going to hold that in place like this. The water is pouring out the top, so it's hard to actually see the beading coming up the side, but it's definitely working. So it actually works better when you fit it to the end of the shower head. Just take the shower head off and place it over, and so this is the filter, the fluoride filter that came with the Phoenix system, and this is the filter that came with the Berkeley set that came included with this. You just insert that into here and place on top of here, on like this, and just put this over a tap. But I prefer to do it this way. Just put a washer on the top and put that flush over the top here and just pour through, and you'll see the water just pouring through, because inside here it's quite a simple, easier setup. As you can see, it's just lots of tiny granules. I mean, you could even put a mesh over the top that's finer than these particles here and just flush the water through. So priming these fluoride filters is much simpler. Thanks for watching. Let me know what you found useful, and don't forget to drop us a like and subscribe if you haven't already to support my channel. Thanks.